I'm Willie D. Nelson from All Things Good and Nerdy, a pop culture podcast, part of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other tantalizingly geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.
Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is another Creators on the Couch episode, and we are once again joined by our friends who at this point have permanent indentations on the couch from the number of times that they've been on the show. Alan Dunford and Will Radford. Thank you guys once again for taking times out of your evening, out of your busy schedules to join us, this time to talk actually Grandma Chainsaw.
I know, it's so weird not talking about Pocus for once.
Change of pace.
Yes.
And this time, this is the first, we're actually joined by another member of the creative team, Jasen Smith, who is the colorist for Grandma Chainsaw. Jasen, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
It's going to be a lot of fun here. So for those of you who maybe not familiar with as I said, the prior 3 times that Alan and Will have been on the show, you can go back and check them out on our website, capesonthecouch.com, or you can go back, scroll through the feed. This is the 4th time that they've appeared in just under a year. So as I said, we really like having these guys on. In fact, we broke our hiatus for you because you were doing the Kickstarter for Pocus Hocus 4. And Alan reached out to me and said, hey, we're launching the Kickstarter for this. Can we come on? And I was like, well, for you guys, hell yeah. And then in the process of talking, if you listen to that episode, we did talk about Grandma Chainsaw coming up. If you were of a certain level backer of the Pocus Hocus, you did get that little ash can copy, the sort of the preview, as it were, of Grandma Chainsaw. And so what we have now, what we're here to talk about now, is the full-fledged Grandma Chainsaw #1 issue. Is going to be dropping on Kickstarter September 20th.
Yes. Yeah. 10 days from now. And it's crazy how fast we feel like it's approached.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode will be released after the Kickstarter has opened, but it will still be live, as of the release of this episode. So Alan and Will, we've chatted with you guys a number of times. As I said, anybody wants a background on them, two great guys from West Virginia. West by God, Virginia.
You know the slogan.
Well, Doc's family is from VA.
I'll take credit for that one.
Okay. Yeah. We're from. Okay, so your family's from Virginia.
Well, my father loves the area. He grew up way south of that. He was born in Florida, then moved up to South Carolina, then moved up to DC. But all throughout it, he learned a lot of different things. So he learned that slogan. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it sounds made up, but I promise you it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I said, if you want to get more background on Alan and Will, you can go check out the other times that they've been on. So Jasen, as the rookie, as it were, or the newcomer to the show, we're going to put you in the hot seat for a couple of minutes. So what is your background? You said you're the colorist on this book. How long have you been in the industry, and kind of what have you worked on prior to this?
I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've worked on a lot of different things for DC Comics through a studio called Hi-Fi Designs. And through them, they just churn out a whole bunch of different books, from Flash, Justice League, and anything that's DC related. I got really lucky when I first started out. I just started looking for anyone that had coloring work, and I got really lucky when Mark Silvestri, it's like, yeah, I have a comic, just it's new. We'll try you out, and I got to color his new book that was out, and that's how I kind of broke into it. Just got real lucky.
Wow. Okay. It's not a bad name to be attached to. So what are some of the books that you've worked on? You mentioned you did some work for DC. What books in particular have you done for them?
The longest running one that we were doing was Future's End when that series was out. A lot of them, it was a ton of different ones, different kinds of Supergirl, from Superman, different Justice League. uh, from like the future versions to all different kinds of versions of those DC characters. Over 100 titles is quite a few. But I also got to jump over to doing fill-in work with Marvel, doing Amazing Spider-Man with shadowing Laura Martin. She's a colorist, and Wolverine, X-Men, and just kind of got plotted into doing a few pages here and there through being a fill-in colorist.
Oh wow! So yeah, those are some really obscure titles. I've never heard of any of those people. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know.
That's-
You got to start somewhere.
Small indie books.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to pay your dues. Work your way. Maybe someone will let you work on a big name comic one of these days. So how did you end up hooking up with Alan and Will?
A guy that I think we all know, Mike Tenner, he sent me over to these guys, and I heard that they never did comics before, and so that was a little iffy. And
Hey, I get that.
but they seem to have a good passion for it, so that really is what helped bring me into it. Was just seeing that they had this fun aspect to their storytelling.
Now, I've spoken to some artists and pencilers and things like that. Colorist is a very specific and demanding job. Obviously, from I guess a creative process standpoint, is it a situation where you were brought on after some of the pencils had been done and they said this is what has existed and we'd like you to color this, or were you brought in prior to the pencils being laid down and were you sort of speaking with the artist as the pages were being drawn and inked?
With these guys in specifically, it was, I believe how we started was I saw the artwork and I liked the style of it. And when I liked the style of it, I could see what I want to do color wise with lighting and things like that. And that really helps me to be into that kind of a project is to, if you like the art, you like the people that you work with, you like the story, it helps you to want to, be there for that.
Well, obviously, being kind of invested in the work definitely brings out a higher quality of art, or at least one would hope. And so far, at least with the pages that we've seen, or at least that Doc and I have seen, we've been obviously privy to some preview stuff that hasn't made the Kickstarter yet. You're doing top-notch work here. And then we also got to see some pages that have not yet been, shall we say, fully colored. There's at least one very prominent color present in those preview pages in terms of a deep shade of crimson, shall we say. I mean, it's a horror book. I don't really think it's that much of a shocker to say at some point someone's going to die and it's not going to be clean or pretty. So I really don't think I'm giving too much away to say we saw what we were describing in the pre-roll before we started recording is the murder page. And my exact words to Alan over text were, "What in the cinnamon toast is wrong with you?" And then Doc, when I sent him the pages, had a very astute observation.
Yeah. So let me just make this clear. I'm used to horror. That's something that Anthony and I don't discuss as often. So it takes a lot to truly shock me. So I'm not going to lie, guys. You didn't shock me with this. So I just took it more on the analytical side. And I said, well, these aren't my words, but I'm going to describe it to be a little more vague. If anybody's seen the movie Mommy Dearest, the meme, no wire hangers.
No more wire hangers ever.
Yeah.
No wire hangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that as, I mean, that certainly wasn't the consciously the inspiration for that, I don't think. But that, I definitely see the resemblance now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a genre where, to Doc's point, horror is not really my bag. I enjoy it. I'll dabble in it if there's something there, but I'm very much not into visceral type stuff.
Right.
For me, I prefer horror to be more of the psychological bent.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do get my kicks about watching some masked or depraved individual chase around a bunch of teenagers looking to dismember them in various ways, whether it's Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, etc. And so when we were talking about Pocus Hocus last time, and we were sort of getting into the genesis of this idea of you telling a horror story that is obviously very, very different from Pocus Hocus. And so I'm not trying to repeat the questions too much, but for I guess the benefit of folks who maybe didn't go back and listen to that episode or who haven't read Pocus Hocus, what really kind of drove you to tell this story that is very clearly different from Pocus Hocus?
So this one was a challenge, obviously, but the one thing that we wanted to remain consistent was the team that we were working with. We obviously love Jason's colors. Brian's pens and inks was amazing on Pocus, and our letterer and designer Dave, obviously instrumental to a lot of things to really help us get started in creating the whole process. Horror is a genre that, Will, I'm going to put words in your mouth, even though I'm sure we're going to both agree. It's a genre that both of us love immensely, and it's a genre we bond over.
Yeah.
And I think I just had the idea and I approached it to Will, and it was the fastest yes he probably ever gave me on greenlighting a project together. And of course, I got down on one knee, pulled out my engagement ring, and I asked Jason. I said, "Will you be my colorist again?" And Jason was like, "Well, what's the project?" Obviously, and I told him, and it was pretty much just a simple, "What the hell? I'm in." I think that with this though, we are taking a risk because it is drastically different from Pocus, but I think that's a good thing too.
Yeah. First and foremost, I think this goes without saying it's a lot more R-rated than Pocus Hocus is.
Yeah.
But
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of liberating in a way because it feels like, I don't know, we have all of these wacky, zany ideas that might not be Pocus Hocus appropriate. And then this just kind of opens the doorway or opens the door and allows us to go there sometimes. And obviously that's a great thing because writing Pocus Hocus was kind of cathartic in that way too, in the sense that it was like, we can just kind of have fun. And with Grandma Chainsaw, there's even more of that lack of, I guess, barriers. So it's a lot of fun to write.
I hadn't noticed or really can't tell that from, just the preview pages that we've seen. When we spoke last time, I asked, having seen at that point only just a handful of pages or very limited understanding of the story, how you were going to subvert a lot of the common tropes that are present in horror, because I do feel that horror, perhaps more so than, I don't want to say any other genre, but a majority of genres, horror is very much a trope-centric genre, for lack of a better term, that there are very clearly established setups. And then the question becomes, okay, now we've taken this well-worn beginning. How are we going to take it in a direction where you don't see the end coming or you're playing with it? Cabin in the Woods kind of thing comes to mind.
Yeah.
Some of the entries in Saw or Final Destination early on, kind of played with that idea. And so we had asked you and you had indicated that, yes, it does start off very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, but it quickly takes a turn into another direction. And what I can say after having read about 15 or so pages, there are very clearly homages to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but some of the things that I hope are setups in this, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they're going to be paid off. And so my question to you then is, how do you decide just how much foreshadowing to establish early on that this isn't going to be just a female Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Will, do you want to knock this one out?
Well, yeah, we plan ahead and we outline as much as we possibly can with each project, each issue, whatever it is we're doing. So going in, we definitely had that much and a, kind of an idea of where we wanted to go. I think that in a lot of cases, I feel like we've leaned into the tropes a little bit and tried to pay homage to them. And just kind of having that mentality, it's been liberating because I think that in paying homage to them, we kind of find new ways to explore them, and it's just kind of effortless in that way. But yeah, I think the ultimate answer to that question is we outline, we plan ahead, and we know like all of our beats before we go into writing individual issues. But as far as like the tropes go and the references and all of that, I think there's just too much that we love and geek out over and want to reference to be contained within one particular, you know what I mean? Just to do like a basic slasher. We may even start with that idea where we're like, we just want to do a fun slasher, but by the end of it, it will end up being something that's just, when we sit down and we have these writing sessions and we talk about this stuff, we're just imaginatively, it inevitably goes to places that we don't even plan it to.
Yeah, and I feel that way, especially with how issue 1 ends too. I think it's such a good setup. Obviously, or your issue 1's obviously your setup issue. You get everything out of the way. This is our world. This is our rules. This is our characters. Now let's go. I think we were kind of scared, especially when we wrote issue 2, because of how issue 1 ends. There's a lot that we have to resolve throughout all of issue 2. But I've already talked to Jason about the ending of Grandma Chainsaw and where we want to go with it. And I think that no one's going to be able to see where we're going, but I still think it makes sense to the story with how we have it lined up.
Okay. All right. And how far or how many issues, I guess, how far out do you have Grandma Chainsaw planned? I know we've asked this question about the Pocus. How many issues?
Issue 4. So as of right now, we plan on Grandma Chainsaw is going to be a 4-issue mini.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing where and how things ramp up based on just what I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if this is, if it's going to be wrapped up in four stories, then
this is
things are really going to take off.
Yeah. So what I will say, after we wrote it and we cracked up, we went back and we always do a dry reading session where Will and I both have the script pulled up beside each other, and Will just reads it in just a monotone voice. We're pretty sure issue 2 is people are going to love it. I can confidently say that. We're issue 2, we kind of just throw everything out there.
Yeah, we were reading it. I think when we did the dry read, when we read it back, didn't we met over the phone, right? Or
no, we were beside each other in my office. Yeah.
I mean, I know that we had wrote it because I know that at one point I got COVID back in mid-July, and then I got some kind of cold or sinus infection or something like 3 weeks later. And there was one part in particular I had difficulty reading because it would always make me laugh. And whenever I would laugh, I would go into a coughing fit.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
Yeah. So it was, it was that one in particular. I think we kind of outdid ourselves in a few different places. So,
wow.
That's always a good sign when people that are writing are cracking themselves up.
We want that to come through, that we're having fun. And I think that's something that Jason said early on was, Jason and I, we talk all the time. Jason always reiterates that working on our stuff doesn't feel like work because he can tell we're all having fun. Like from the writing point, from the illustration to the coloring to the lettering, all of us are just having a blast.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So Jason, I'll pivot to you then for a bit. Obviously, you've worked with these guys before on the Pocus Hocus stuff, and now with Grandma Chainsaw. This is a little bit of a variation on the question I had asked before, but how much input do you have during the creative process, maybe with Brian, since you're familiar now, having worked with him on Pocus, now as he's penciling and inking some of this stuff? Does he provide input or suggestions for the colors? And the flip side to that is, do you say, hey, if this is what the script calls for, I think this should be a particular color, or I'm envisioning this. And then does he take that into account when he does his pencils? I'm just, again, trying to get a little more insight into the pencil or colorist relationship there.
Not really so much in this case. It's great when you're hired and there's a trust given to you because you've been doing it for a long time. This is your job. This is what you're supposed to do, and it's just here's the pages. This is what the story is, and this is what we're going for, and that's really the information that I need, and then I just create that and use my own ideas, maybe even play around with it, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't, use a lot of different reference, especially in this, going back to the 70s, 80s horror movies and looking back at just how film looked and trying to get that same kind of look to it, the same kind of tones that you see throughout that haze that is in the house when you get inside, just trying to recreate those same kind of aesthetics. But Brian, I think more so, I think he has a trust in me just as much as I have a trust in him, trust in Dave, and trust in these guys.
Yeah,
It's interesting
one
you
thing
bring up.
that I want to say about the thing that I love so much about your coloring, I think I even said this to you guys last time. It's obviously such a huge difference from Pocus to this. It has an aquatic feel to it while also having a movie grain feel to it. I don't know how you pulled it off, but bravo.
But it's a little secret.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead. Ask your question.
Well, no, I was just going to say that it's interesting that you bring up references for palettes because I've heard many artists speak about references and if they're for pencils and things of that nature. When they're laying the groundwork, they will pose themselves in a certain way, or they have figurines, or they'll look to particular imagery and things of that nature. I guess maybe this is my own naivete or ignorance, but I wasn't really aware that there were references for color palettes. I kind of want a little more information on that in the sense of I'd imagine it would be project specific, but how do you find those references? And then how do you pull them in, I guess, to sort of like a patchwork or an amalgamation to fit the specific project that you're working on?
Yeah, sometimes it kind of depends if just what the art looks like, along with the storytelling. If the story and the art look a certain way, and my job is to kind of create, like a cinematographer, to create the look of it, the overall, just that aesthetic, and that's what my job is to give you focus where it needs to go, and give the details where it needs to have the details, and make it look pretty. And with each project, it's different. Even when it comes to maybe even the same creative team, like you said, from Hocus Pocus to Grandma Chainsaw, is that even though that it's the same team, the story and the genre of it is completely different. So it's up to me to look at that and see how I can create what it is that we're all kind of wanting as a team.
Awesome, awesome. So maybe without giving too many spoilers away, what were some of the references you had indicated, like 70s, 80s horror slashers? Obviously, again, the well-worn trope of genre horror. I mean, I don't think it's going to be too much of a spoiler to say, okay, well, I was looking at this movie because obviously the script is going to be different. But what were some of the films or other sources of inspiration for the color palette on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, was a big one, and Evil Dead, specifically
Oh,
Evil Dead. There's some good ones in
Yeah.
there.
okay. Now you're speaking our language
Yeah, that's a favorite.
because I'm not, as Doc indicated, I'm not much for horror, but comedy horror where it blends the two and it has to be done well. It's not always done well, but when it's done well, it is magnificent. And so I am very happy to hear that even in some small fashion, there is that continuation of that Raimi and Campbell collaboration continuing forward, even, you know, 40 plus years after the original.
Oh,
Um, those films are absolute classics.
yes.
So we mentioned, the Kickstarter going live September 20th. You guys always have some really cool bonuses and different tier incentives for people. What are some of the added little positives that folks can get from back in the Kickstarter aside from the usual PDF version and a physical version, et cetera, et cetera? What are some of the the things that are unique to Grandma Chainsaw, and how did you come up with them?
So what worked out really well for us on the Pocus campaign was, well, I guess actually for all of our campaigns, I feel like what's made us successful is that we take the backers into consideration. I know that may sound crazy or weird or like a lame answer, but we try to make everything an a la carte system. So no one is strong armed into getting a certain tier just so they can get a certain item. So everything you see, you can usually do as an add-on, or you can just simply just get it by itself, which that's always nice. Of course, we have the bundle tiers where you get everything at a discounted rate for the big collectors, but still, we like to try to have an offering for everything. The metal covers, we definitely brought those back. Of all the covers that we have, we did the hollow foil again. So one thing that we did differently this time, we're going to have a UV blacklight glow metal cover that's exclusive to the Kickstarter campaign. We're doing 25 of them, and they're all going to be individually numbered. So we're really, really excited about that one. We think it's going to be cool. Brian actually drew a separate cover for that one, so it's not a rehash of one of the covers that we have.
Shut up and take my money.
Okay, yeah, right. The other thing that we tried to do too, you'll see whenever you go through the campaign, we have hard candies that display the price on it because, it's Grandma Chainsaw. Why not lean into it? Then with that, we also have aprons that have Grandma Chainsaw written on them. Jason, do you have your apron close by?
I love it.
No.
Oh, no.
I'll go grab. You want me to go grab mine?
Yeah, go grab your apron real quick because you're Anthony and Buck.
Yeah. Hang on.
So yeah, we have aprons. The thing that we're really proud about, granted, the concept for Grandma Chainsaw is stupid. So why not just lean into our own stupidity for even greenlighting this whole project? We have our Eat, Slay, Love t-shirts that looks like they're crocheted.
Yeah. So these are the aprons.
Oh my goodness.
I got the Grandma
I
Chainsaw.
love it.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a picture of me. There's a picture of me stir frying some.
Campaign wherever we go to finalize it.
You should, yeah, because like when I came over to do a writing session, and they had just come in, and he gave me one and just showed it to me, and they were making dinner, and I made a terrible mockery of their dinner by putting on the apron and standing over the skillet like I was fixing something that might not be as savory as what they were eating. So, yeah.
So the other thing too that's really special to us, I texted you while we were on the call. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it yet, but it's
I just look at it now. Yeah.
It's the Hazel's Memory Maker, and that is Will of the picture I sent you. He's just going to be the star of the campaign on this one. So you get a picture, or Brian will draw you beside Hazel. So we're limiting that to 10 people just because it is going to take Brian a little bit to draw it. And I think he does really well on everyone's likeness. So we'll have Will for reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The other fun things I do want to mention really quick, the sticker packs. I'm a huge fan of those, and I think they look great. And obviously we're always a huge fan of the black and white edition. And in case you missed it, we have all individual copies of Pocus on here, the trade paperback, and also the Horus and Hell Ashhand, which you guys have also read.
Yep. We did get that. It's funny. I was just, it just occurred to me, you were talking about the apron and everything like that. The Grandma Chainsaw logo, the word mark there. What about something like "Kill me, I'm the chef"?
Yes. Okay. Next. No, on the next campaign. We're already always forward thinking of ideas. So kill the chef. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Kill the chef.
Yeah.
Like,
Kill the chef.
Kiss the chef, kiss the cook, and then kiss is marked out. It's just kill them.
Yeah. It looks like it's written in blood.
Yeah. Yes. See, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Ours not really my bailiwick, but I can think of things off the top of my head once in a while.
I think the most wild thing, though, when we were building this campaign, and this is just a testament to Jasen and Brian for being able to, well, Dave too, for getting this stuff out as fast as they have as well. We actually have a tier on there for the digital library and for the physical library. We're at that point now where we have 6 titles or 6 comics out, which is just bizarre to me because, Will, we started this thing a year ago.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, like it's just, yeah, it's It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and we've been there, since
Every step of the way.
since issue
Pretty
2.
much.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been there. I can't say day 1, but we're real damn
Really
close.
close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty close. Yeah,
close.
yeah. But
Um,
it's wild, man. And also to mention on here, running from October the 11th until November the 11th, Bad Bug Media is doing a horror anthology called Roseblood Manor. And the Pocus Hocus Grandma Chainsaw team, we have a 8-page story on there called The Wandering Man. And it's going to be right up your alley, Anthony, because it's all psychological horror.
Yeah.
So,
oh,
yeah, I'll send you more details on that here before too long.
okay.
Yep.
It's very fun, very classic,
Yeah.
classic story.
You had my interest. So before we wrap up, we've been focusing mostly on Grandma Chainsaw. I just want to pivot back to Pocus just for a little bit, just before we wrap up, because obviously, we're well acquainted with Pocus Hocus at this point. Doc and I, we got our trades. We got everything there. We'll probably be doing some sort of a giveaway for at least one of the books there that we've got. When can we expect to see Pocus 5?
Yeah, so that will actually be Pocus 2-1, aka
Right,
Pocus
yes.
5. Yes, we have already began writing it. So the idea is, depending on how it lines up, we kind of liked what happened with Grandma Chainsaw, how we had the ash can for it. So I think our trajectory right now is we're going to go ahead and release Grandma Chainsaw 1. And then we're going to do the Pocus 2-1, Pocus 5, Ash Can on the Grandma Chainsaw 2 campaign as a preview. So let's get ready for Pocus again, and then we're going to launch Pocus. So the taking we have from Pocus has been extremely helpful, because Will and I think we were kind of stressed a little bit whenever we were starting our second arc, because we were so happy with how the arc 1 turned out as a whole, and we were happy with how our cliffhanger ended. So we felt a lot of stress on ourselves to really deliver. It's like, well, how do we start our second season off super strong?
Yeah.
And working on Grandma Chainsaw gave us a good mental break from just being so consumed with Pocus that the stuff that we've written the first, I think, 6 pages already.
Yeah.
We're
Like,
so happy
Yes. 6 to 8.
with how it's turned out already.
Yeah, it's that I was actually going to say I pretty much word for word what you just said, and add that on which is that the long and short of it is being able to work on Grandma Chainsaw and taking that break from Pocus and then coming back to it and being able to look at it more objectively is very helpful. I think going forward, that is like the ultimate, like that is a dream way to work creatively. I mean, at least from the perspective of a writer, because it's going to be like it's shifting back and forth so that it never feels too like
Right.
not burned out or feeling burnt out on it. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we were able to go ahead and do The Wandering Man with that as well. Even though it's just
Right.
8 pages, it was still 8 fun pages. And I get to just keep slamming more pages on Jasen. Yay!
I was just about to ask Jason. So, did you work on The Wandering Man as well?
Did I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will be. Yeah.
I will be.
There you go.
You will be. Okay.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
will be.
You will
be.
Yeah. So we obviously finished the script. Brian's already worked up the concept pages. Now he's at the inking process. So as soon as those are there, Jason's our guy. So we like to. Well, I hate change for one, but for two, I firmly in my heart of hearts that this team together, we all work so well together. I just think that you can tell that in the pages, and we all just mesh and produce. That's my biggest goal with any campaign. I know it's all the guys is it's our quality. We want our quality to try to set us apart from whatever else is out there too. I want someone to open it up and be like, "Oh man, that's Brian's art, that's Jason's coloring, that's Dave's lettering, that's awesome. Oh, it's a crappy name, that's definitely Alan and Will's." So yeah.
It's interesting though. Just to go back a little bit with what you were talking about, and although the book that I'm thinking of it's got a very controversial name, but it's not. The book's not controversial. The name is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. But the whole point is other things that you do for enjoyment, for relaxation, for entertainment, even if it is directly related to something that you're producing, if it's part of a job or whatever, the more that you spread out, the more that you do other things, the better your original ideas get. it
Yeah.
just gives your brain an opportunity to really reset, look at things at a different perspective, and sometimes come up with things you wouldn't have otherwise. You
Yeah.
know,
agree with
it's
that.
amazing how much of a difference that makes. And to be honest, not just from an energy standpoint, but it's part of the reason why Anthony and I, we don't always come up with it in the moment, but it's why we have seasons for our podcast. It's why we don't just do like 52 episodes a year and make sure that it's week in, week out. Although we do try and build up a backlog. We know we're not always going to get there, but even so, we know we need to take those times to, reset and come back anew. So I really appreciate you guys mentioning something like that doing one project allowed you to have a better perspective on another project.
Yeah, I have a joke with Alan. I was reading over I think it was the trade paperback. I went back and this was after we had written like at least the first script of Grandma Chainsaw, maybe the second one. And I was going back and I was rereading Pocus like from the start. And I texted him and mentioned that I was doing that and jokingly said, I'm reading our comic book series and it's not half bad.
Yeah.
Like it, but just because it was that idea of just being able to take that distance from it and then come back and look at it again with fresh eyes. It's super important for me to the point where I wish I had a better handle, like better control over it. Like I wish I could write something and then be like, okay, I'm going to walk away from it for 2 days and then come back and look at it objectively. Sometimes you just have to put something away and come back to it when it's right. And I hate not having control over that, but that's a whole other thing. But it's a super important part of the writing process is being able to have that, objectivity there. That's why you also always want people reading it and looking at it, giving you feedback.
Absolutely. At least from my perspective, that happens to me when we're on hiatus, is I will get a whole slew of ideas of things and I'll mention them all at the doc. And then the problem, of course, with ADHD is I get all the ideas, but then when it comes time to execute, it's,
Yeah.
know what to do first. And it's,
Yeah.
paralysis by analysis and which one do I do first? And then, these are all wonderful ideas.
Right.
But now I have to start them all.
Yeah.
My issue is I am I'm not talking the political term. I'm very liberal. And what I mean by that is Anthony will text me and almost universally, with rare exceptions, it's like, yep, let's do it. Like, I need a better filter sometimes, but
he's never that barrier to go, well, maybe we should try this, or maybe this is going to be too much work for you. It's do it, man. Go for it. He's the devil on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And then on my other shoulder, I've, it is
still
lazy.
waiting.
Still waiting. It was like the Family Guy, my angel stuck in traffic kind of deal.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because I'll even admit myself, I'm like, okay, I have no idea how we're going to do this, but yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. I don't know where we're going to find the time. I don't know how we're going to have the energy to do this, but let's go for it. Why not?
And sometimes what it takes is just sitting down and doing it, whether you feel prepared or not. Because I'm sure there have been some days when I've come in to write with Alan, and it's been pretty obvious that I haven't been 100%. And usually when that happens, I always feel that by the end of it, he's came in and pulled me up to where I need to be, if that makes sense. So having that team, having two people, it makes that a little easier to get through, is to find that motivation, and then you have that objectivity immediately, that other voice immediately, so that you don't make yourself write something and you're like, oh, I don't even know if this is good or not. You always have that other person sort of pulling you up to kind of help get you to where you need to be. So
that's the upside to a team. Of course, the downside to a team is that if you're both, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. You're constantly hyping each other up, and nobody is being the
voice of
pragmatist and going, let's pump the brakes here. And unfortunately, over the past 25 years, neither of us have done a wonderful job of being a pragmatist for the other one.
Yeah,
it's usually you could do that. Yeah, go for it.
That's where our spouses come in.
Exactly. Yes, our wives, definitely, absolutely mine, and times 5 yours. I say that with all love. I adore his wife, but she is absolutely the pragmatist to go, all right, hold up. You want my husband to do what now? And you want him to, how much time? Okay. And what are you going to do about this? And where do you come in? And how are you going to come to my house to pick up the slack because now you got him doing all these other things? Oh, you're not going to do that? Oh, then you don't get my husband for that. Like that is absolutely, and you're laughing, bro.
But it's true.
Absolutely imagine.
Oh, it's absolutely true. I have nothing hidden about that. That's great. I love it because, it allows for me to live a sustainable lifestyle.
Sustainable. We're not talking like eco-friendly, green. No. Sustainable as in livable, as in prolonging your existence and life on this earth.
That's right.
Either from burnout or, murder at the hands of your spouse.
Will kill me. Send help.
And she absolutely would. And she'd kill me for enabling.
Yep.
That's the next comic.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Oh my gosh. One last thing on a bit of a funny note. I don't know how much you guys are watching She-Hulk series.
Oh, I love it so much.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
Hearing amazing things.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's incredible. Absolutely.
So, Jason, have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So, Alan and Jason, this is kind of for you then. In the most recent episode, as of this recording, have you seen
Madison?
No, well, the episode with Madison, but that's not what I was talking about. Donnie Blaze, in so many ways, reminded me of Pocus.
I thought of the same thing.
I was watching this going, son of a bitch, this is Pocus.
Yeah.
This is Pocus Hocus in the MCU.
Yeah, I was thinking I was so happy we already wrote Pocus before this episode, because then it would have just been, it's like Donnie Blaze.
Exactly. I was watching this going, somebody, it did did some of the writers in She-Hulk back the Kickstarter? Because I feel like...
Yes, definitely. They knew Jason was coloring it, so they went ahead and just backed it, and they're like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and steal some of this.
Let's tweak it a little bit. Yeah, like I said, yes, Madison was a great character, but I'm watching the Donnie Blaze stuff and I'm going, holy this is Pocus.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
If the next Marvel series features a chainsaw wielding grandma, then we know that confirms it. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. They'll show up in Secret Invasion. Their Grandma Chainsaw is really a Skrull. So we're going to have obviously links to the Kickstarter and everything else in the show notes. But to wrap up, we'll kind of run this down. Alan, where can folks find you on the internet and your cat that seems to be making its appearance on your screen?
Yes, so you can find me and Athena on Twitter at Chaps of Fury, and always follow us on Kickstarter. That is the best way to get notified of everything. And Will and I are actually in the process of working on a Substack newsletter.
Oh, okay. All right. Will, what about you?
You can find me on Instagram at willrad82, and you can find, if you want to view any of my film and video work, it's vimeo.com/willrad.
And Jason, what about you?
You can find me on YouTube at Jason Station, where I do live stream videos of me coloring things on there.
Okay. That sounds awesome. I think I'll have to go and check that out. So Jason with an E.
Yes.
Yes, make that very clear.
With an E and two ends, but not where you think.
Yeah, you don't. There's a Y in there. You're just not where you think it is.
No. Don't confuse people.
Absolutely. And so we're in the process of wrapping things up. So thank you again, Alan, Will, and Jason. As always, you can find all of our episodes on our website, Capes. You can also check us out on the Gonna Geek website, as we are a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. GonnaGeek.com is a home for all of your wonderful geeky podcasts. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've been doing some guest appearances on there talking about She-Hulk and Play Comics. I know Doc has finally booked his long-standing episode. Chris has been waiting to get him on there for many, many moons. So that's going to be happening. So you can check that out at Play Comics. And again, just a wonderful variety of shows over there at GonnaGeek.com. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Capes on the Couch. And again, we're going to have some show notes, links to the show notes and everything in there. After Grandma Chainsaw comes out and we get the physical copies, we will absolutely be doing a giveaway for the fans, for anybody that, follows us. We'll figure out, Doc and I will discuss how we'll do that, but we will definitely make sure to get a copy of the Grandma Chainsaw in your hands. We also have some Pocus stuff that we'll talk about giving away sometime soon. So, Doc, you got anything else you want to add before we head on out?
The only thing that I learned from all of this is I need to brush up on my manners. And if anybody needs to know, then you definitely need to check out this book.
Yeah.
Hazel will do for manners what the shark in Jaws did for beaches. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Alan, Will, Jason, thank you again. It's a pleasure as always. And looking forward to having you on for Chainsaw 2 and then Pocus 2-1. I'm a little sad we have to wait that much longer because I need to know what happens.
Oh, believe us, we know.
I understand. Hopefully it'll be well worth the wait. Yeah. And I'm sure it will be. So for Alan, Will, Jason, and Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.